Daisy didn't cry, not then. She grabbed her duffel bag, the one stuffed with faded Polaroids and a single change of clothes, and bolted into the downpour, her sneakers squelching through mud that clung like regret. By dawn, she was on a Greyhound bound for anywhere but here. The buses hum a numb lullaby as Ohio blurred into memory. She was 25, queer as a $3 bill, and utterly achingly alone, until a faded brochure in the seat pocket caught her eye. Teach English in Spain. Rewrite your story. It was impulsive, reckless, the kind of leap that either saves you or shatters you. Malaga welcomed her with salt-kissed air and streets that twisted like forgotten promises. Daisy rented a shoebox apartment above a tapas bar. The kind where locals argued over soccer and poured sangria like it could drown sorrows. She taught giggly teenagers at a language institute, mangling conjugations while dreaming of a world where love didn't come with footnotes. Spain wasn't home, it was a bandage, a place to lick wounds without the sting of Bible Belt stares. But on her third week, during a staff happy hour at a cliffside cafe overlooking the Mediterranean, she met Ren. Ren Morales was everything Daisy wasn't. Poised, effortlessly magnetic, with the kind of laugh that turned heads in crowded rooms. 30, half Spanish, half American expat. Her mother from Seville. Her father a Chicago architect who'd whisked the family to Andalusia for authenticity. Ren ran a small nonprofit, pulling strings to place foster kids in forever homes, her days a blur of paperwork and playground visits. She had long wavy black hair that caught the sunlight like polished obsidian, hazel eyes flecked with gold, and a smile that promised mischief and mercy in equal measure. When their knees brushed under the table that night, Daisy's pulse stuttered, a spark in the dry tinder of her exile. "You're the new American," Ren said, her accent a lilting blend of Castilian vowels and Midwestern flatness, sliding a glass of vermouth across the scarred wooden table. "The one who teaches sounds like they're weapons of mass destruction." Daisy chuckled, the sound rusty from disuse. "Guilty. And you're the one saving the world, one kid at a time." Ren's gaze softened, but there was a shadow there, a flicker of something guarded. "Trying to. Some worlds don't want saving." They talked until the cafe's lanterns flickered out, about Daisy's Ohio ghosts, Ren's divorce from a man who'd called her too intense for suburbia. By midnight, they were strolling the paseo, the sea a black mirror under stars that felt impossibly close. Ren's hand found Daisy's, tentative at first, then sure. Their first kiss tasted of salt and possibility, under a bougainvillea arch heavy with fuchsia blooms. It wasn't fireworks, it was a hearth fire, slow burning and steady. Daisy fell hard, the way you do when you've been adrift too long. Ren's apartment was a sun-drenched haven in the old town, walls lined with books on child psychology and faded photos of smiling faces. Kids she'd helped, families she'd stitched together. They cooked paella on lazy Sundays, Ren teaching Daisy to roll her R's while Daisy belted out off-key Joan Baez covers. For the first time since the rain-soaked rejection, Daisy felt seen, not as a scandal but as a story worth telling. But love in exile has its undercurrents. Ren carried scars from her own coming out. A Catholic family in Seville who'd prayed her phase away. A marriage born of compromise that crumbled under the weight of unspoken truths. "I don't do labels," she'd murmur when Daisy pressed, her fingers tracing patterns on Daisy's collarbone. "Just this. Us." Daisy nodded, ignoring the ache because what they had was real. Stolen weekends hiking the Sierra Nevada, where Ren's laughter echoed off granite peaks. Quiet evenings on the balcony, sharing dreams over glasses of Rioja. 6 months in, the dream sharpened. One humid August afternoon, Ren dragged Daisy to a foster care fair in a dusty community hall. The air thick with crayons and cautious hope. Kids milled about, some bold with finger paints, others shrinking into corners like shadows. That's when Daisy saw them. Luca and Sophia, siblings from a fractured home in the hills. Luca 10 with messy blonde hair that stuck up like he'd wrestled a windstorm, and eyes the color of storm clouds, wary but with a spark that begged for ignition. Sophia, 8, her dark curls a wild halo, clutching a threadbare stuffed rabbit named Señor Conejo, her brown eyes wide as saucers, scanning for threats that never quite left. "They've bounced through 7 homes," Ren whispered, her voice tight. "Parents OD'd last year. No relatives stepping up. The system's chewing them up." Daisy watched Luca build a wobbly tower of blocks, only to kick it down with a scowl that masked devastation. Sophia hummed a tuneless song to her rabbit, rocking gently, as if melody could ward off the world's edges. Something cracked open in Daisy's chest. The echo of her own abandonment, the farm kitchen's cold finality. "What if we did this?" she said, the words tumbling out before fear could snag them. Ren turned, surprise softening to something luminous. "You and me? Moms." They spent the night tangled in sheets, whispering logistics. Daisy's teaching visa could stabilize them. Ren's nonprofit connections greased the wheels. It wasn't easy. Spain's adoption labyrinth favored blood ties, and two women without a village faced mountains of scrutiny. But they dove in, hands clasped across clinic tables, enduring home studies that peeled back layers like onions. Daisy's past rejection surfaced in psych evals, a social worker's pen hovering. Family estrangement, potential instability? Ren squeezed her knee under the table, a silent vow. The kids came home on a crisp October morning, the apartment blooming with chaos. Luca's soccer posters papering walls, Sophia's drawings taped to the fridge like talismans. Daisy burned toast for breakfast, Ren braided Sophia's curls with clumsy fingers, and Luca's tentative thanks Daisy over dinner felt like absolution. Motherhood wasn't a crown. It was grit under nails, midnight fevers, and the terror of not being enough. But in the quiet hours when Luca read aloud from Harry Potter, his voice gaining strength with each page, and Sophia nestled between them on the couch, rabbit in tow, Daisy glimpsed grace. Ren's eyes would meet hers over the children's heads, a look that said, "We built this. It's ours." Yet beneath the domestic hum, fissures formed. Ren's ex, Javier, lingered like smoke, a charming architect who'd returned to Malaga for a project, just to co-parent amicably. He was all easy grins and shared history, showing up with gelato and stories of their wild days. Daisy laughed it off at first, but jealousy gnawed. The way Ren's shoulders relaxed around him, the inside jokes that excluded her. "He's harmless," Ren insisted one night, as they argued in hushed tones while the kids slept. "It's not like that anymore." Daisy wanted to believe her, but doubt is a slow poison. She threw herself into the family rhythm. School runs along palm-lined avenues, beach picnics where Luca chased waves and Sophia collected shells like treasures. Ren's nonprofit demanded more. Late nights drafting grants, her phone buzzing with donors who saw her as the golden girl, not the woman wrestling midnight anxieties. Daisy felt the drift, a quiet betrayal of time stolen from their cocoon. Winter brought storms, literal and otherwise. One blustery December eve, as fairy lights twinkled in the plaza below, Javier invited them to a holiday gala. Black tie, benefactors dripping in Chanel. Daisy demurred, citing Sophia's flu, but Ren went, radiant in emerald silk, promising to be home by 10. Midnight came and went. Daisy's texts pinged into void. When the door finally clicked at 2 a.m., Ren stumbled in, mascara smudged, the scent of bourbon and betrayal clinging like fog. "Where were you?" Daisy's voice was steel-wrapped in velvet, Luca and Sophia mercifully asleep down the hall. Ren's hazel eyes dodged, guilty. "Networking." "It ran late." "With him." The words hung accusatory. A pause, then the flood. Javier's hand on her waist during a slow dance, old flames flickering in champagne haze. "Nothing happened," Ren pleaded, but her voice cracked. "I swear. It's just, he gets me, Daisy. The parts you don't see. The ambitious mess, the one who ran from Chicago because she couldn't hack it." Daisy's world tilted. "And I get the broken parts? The rejects." The farm kitchen echoed in her skull, rain on tin. She stormed out into the gale, the sea roaring approval, her sobs lost in the wind. Ren followed, barefoot on cobblestones, grabbing her arm. "Don't do this. We're a family now." But the seed of fracture had sprouted. Days blurred into brittle civility. Packed lunches, bedtime stories recited like scripts. Luca sensed it, his towers toppling more often. Sophia's humming turned plaintive. Daisy buried hurt in lesson plans, her classes on frosts, the road not taken hitting too close. Ren pulled back, Javier's text a siren call she claimed to ignore. Spring unfurled grudgingly, almond blossoms mocking their wilt. The betrayal crested at a routine family therapy session, mandated by the adoption agency. The counselor, a no-nonsense woman named Elena with silver-streaked hair, coaxed truths like confessions. Trust is the foundation, she said, eyes flicking between them. Daisy unloaded, the rejection that scarred her, the fear that love was always provisional. Ren listened, then shattered. I never stopped loving him, not fully. Marrying him was my cage, but you're my wild. And I'm terrified I'll cage you too. The room spun. Betrayal wasn't an affair. It was Ren's divided heart, a ghost Daisy couldn't exorcise. Then let me go, Daisy whispered, the words a knife twist. Outside, under a sky bruised purple, she confessed to Elena. I came here to rewrite my story. But it's the same plot. Loving someone who can't love me back whole. The climax crashed like a Sierra squall. 2 weeks later, Javier proposed reconciliation. For the kids we never had. And Ren wavered, her non-profit board praising the stable match. She sat Daisy down in their sun-faded kitchen, Luca and Sophia at a park playdate. I need time, Ren said, voice fracturing, to figure out if this us is real or just escape. Daisy's laugh was bitter, hollow. Escape? You think that's what I am? She packed that night, the duffel bag a cruel déjà vu, leaving notes for the kids. Luca, your towers will stand taller than mountains. Sophia, sing loud, the world needs your song. To Ren, you gave me a family. Now I have to find mine again. But fate, that capricious Andalusian dancer, intervened. As Daisy lugged her bag toward the bus station, rain sheeting the streets, a small voice pierced the din. Daisy. Wait. Sophia barreled through the crowd, rabbit-sodden, Luca panting behind, Ren's car screeching to a halt. Don't go, Sophia wailed, flinging arms around Daisy's legs. You're our mom. Luca nodded, fierce. We don't want him. We want you. Both of you. Ren emerged, drenched, eyes raw. They're right. I was scared of failing them, of failing you. Javier's the past. You're the horizon. The rain softened to mist, the four of them huddled on the slick pavement, a tableau of tangled limbs and tear-streaked faces. No grand gestures, no cinematic sweeps, just raw human choice. Daisy pulled them close, the sea's murmur a benediction. Then let's rewrite this together. No more ghosts. They returned home at dawn, the apartment a sanctuary reclaimed. Therapy stretched into months, boundaries redrawn like frescoes. Ren cut Javier loose, her laughter freer. Daisy reached out to Ohio ghosts, a tentative email yielding fragile olive branches. Luca's towers soared. Sophia's songs filled rooms. Motherhood, they learned, wasn't perfection but persistence, the art of choosing daily amid the beautiful wreckage. Years later, on a sun-warmed balcony overlooking Malaga's azure curve, Daisy and Ren watched their children chase fireflies, now joined by a gaggle of foster siblings they'd welcomed. We almost lost this, Ren murmured, her hand in Daisy's, rings glinting. Simple bands exchanged in a quiet civil ceremony. Daisy smiled, freckles dancing. But we didn't. Because love isn't a straight line. It's the detour that makes the map. And in the golden hour, with the Mediterranean whispering secrets of endurance, they leaned into each other. Two women, scarred and whole, mothers to the unwanted, architects of a story that defied every rejection. The summer sun baked the terracotta tiles of their Malaga home, turning the air into a shimmering haze that clung to skin like unspoken regrets. Daisy Harper, now 32, wiped sweat from her brow as she knelt in the garden, her hands deep in sun-warmed soil, coaxing tomato vines to yield their ruby treasures. It had been 2 years since that rain-soaked standoff at the bus station, 2 years of piecing together a mosaic from shards of doubt and devotion. The freckles across her nose had deepened under Andalusian light, her short auburn hair streaked with the first hints of silver earned, she joked, from Luca's endless soccer drills and Sophia's penchant for midnight storytelling sessions. Ren Morales, 35 and radiant in a linen shift that hugged her olive curves, emerged from the kitchen with a pitcher of limonada, her long black waves tied back in a loose knot. Her hazel eyes, once shadowed by indecision, now held a steady glow, the gold flecks catching fire in the light. Thirsty, mi jardinera? She teased, pouring a glass with that effortless grace that still made Daisy's heart stutter. Daisy rose, brushing dirt from her jeans, and accepted the drink, their fingers brushing in a ritual of reconnection. Always when you're pouring. They shared a sip, lips meeting briefly over the rim. A quiet intimacy honed by trials. Motherhood had transformed them. Ren's nonprofit had ballooned, Her days a whirlwind of advocacy for LGBTQ+ foster families, her voice a fierce clarion in boardrooms and back alleys. Daisy had traded full-time teaching for a hybrid life. Online classes for Ohio transplants, plus workshops on queer literature at local universities, her accent a bridge between worlds. The children were the true anchors. Luca, 12 now, had shot up like a weed, his blonde mop perpetually tousled from headers on dusty pitches. He dreamed of La Liga, scribbling plays in notebooks Daisy found under his bed. Sophia, 10, had bloomed into a sprite of curls and curiosity, her brown eyes devouring books on astronomy. Señor Conejo retired to a shelf but summoned for thunderstorms. They'd added 2 more to the fold last spring. Mateo, a solemn 6-year-old with a stutter that therapy was gently unraveling, and little Elena, 4, whose giggles could disarm the grumpiest neighbor. But Harmony, Daisy knew, was a garden too, requiring weeding, watering, vigilant against blight. The betrayal's echo lingered in quiet moments. A late-night phone call Wren took in the hall, Daisy's irrational spike of fear. They'd built safeguards, weekly check-ins over Café con Leche, date nights hiking the Caminito del Rey's vertigo trails, where vertigo mirrored vulnerability. No more half-truths, they'd vowed, inscribing it on a plaque above their bed, flanked by adoption photos, the kids' handprints in clay forever small. Yet conflict brewed anew, insidious as summer heat. Wren's nonprofit partnered with the glossy American Foundation, helmed by none other than Javier's sister Carla, a sharp-suited powerhouse from Chicago with a knack for strategic alliances. Carla arrived like a Sirocco, all efficiency and expensive perfume, praising Wren's visionary work, while eyeing Daisy with cool appraisal. "So you're the anchor," she'd said at a welcome dinner, her smile not quite reaching eyes the color of gunmetal. "Wren's always needed one." Daisy forced a grin, clinking glasses of Tempranillo. "We all do, don't we?" But the barb stuck. Wren's ambition, once their shared fire, now pulled her toward transatlantic flights, grant proposals that kept her glued to her laptop till dawn. "It's for us," Wren assured, kissing Daisy's temple as another email pinged. "Stability for the kids, a bigger safety net." Daisy nodded, but unease coiled. She saw it in Luca's furrowed brow during family dinners, his questions sharper. "Why's Mama Wren always on the computer?" Sophia withdrew into sketches, her once vibrant drawings now edged with gray. Even Mateo, usually a sunbeam, clung tighter, his stutter worsening on Wren's travel days. Daisy shouldered more: school mediations, doctors' copays, the emotional scaffolding, while resentment simmered unspoken. The fracture widened at a late July fundraiser, a glittering affair in a Marbella villa perched on cliffs like a crown. Wren had insisted Daisy come, as my +1, my everything. Dressed in a simple black sheath that made her green eyes pop, Daisy mingled awkwardly among expats in linen suits, her Ohio roots feeling like lead weights. Wren shone, of course, charming donors with tales of rescued kids, her laughter a melody that drew Carla like a moth. Daisy nursed a gin and tonic, watching from the terrace as Carla leaned in, hand on Wren's arm, whispering something that creased Wren's brow in that familiar mix of flattery and fatigue. Jealousy wasn't rational, Daisy told herself. It was the ghost of Ohio rain, of feeling like the outsider. But when Carla pulled Wren aside for a private chat, Daisy's glass cracked in her grip, shards nicking her palm. She slipped away, down to the rocky beach below, waves crashing like accusations. Wren found her an hour later, heels dangling from one hand, her dress rumpled. "Daisy? What happened?" She dropped beside her, concern etching lines around her mouth. "You tell me." Daisy's voice was low, blood from the cut mixing with sand. "Another alliance? Or just old flames fanning new ones?" Wren recoiled as if slapped. "Carla? Dios? No. She's pushing for a U.S. expansion. Offices in Chicago, funding triples. It's business. Business that keeps you gone." The dam broke then, words spilling. The loneliness of solo bedtimes, the kids' quiet pleas, the terror that history rhymed. "I rejected my family for this, for us. And now? I'm the one holding the fort while you chase horizons I can't reach." Wren's face crumpled, tears carving tracks through mascara. I thought it was what we needed. Security, legacy." She reached for Daisy's hand, gentle over the wound. "But you're right. I've been running again. From the messiness of us, the fear we'll break." They sat in silence, the sea's rhythm a metronome to their breathing. Above, the party's lights twinkled like distant stars, tempting but cold. Wren confessed the pull. Carla's offers dangled the validation she'd craved since her divorce. A chance to prove she wasn't just a mom, but a force. "But without you," she whispered, "it's hollow." Daisy bandaged her palm with a strip from her hem, the sting a grounding ache. "Then choose, Wren. Not the empire of 4, now 6. Us." Back home, the reckoning unfolded. Wren scaled back, delegating the expansion, her laptop closing earlier each night. Family therapy resumed. Elena's office a confessional where they unpacked the weight of ambition against intimacy. Luca opened up about his fear of another goodbye. His voice steady for the first time. Sophia drew pictures of a forever house, balloons tethering them all. Matteo babbled full sentences during game nights, Elena's laughter the prize. But betrayal's shadow stretched longer than they knew. Carla, slighted by Wren's retreat, sowed discord with precision. A leaked email to the nonprofit board questioning Wren's personal distractions. Anonymous tips to social services hinting at instability in their home. Whispers rippled. Was Daisy equipped? Was their union solid for the children? Home studies loomed, unannounced visits that left Daisy pacing, her old rejection wounds festering. One sweltering August afternoon as cicadas droned, the call came. A caseworker at the door, clipboard in hand, eyes scanning for cracks. "Routine check," she said, but her tone was steel. Luca froze mid-kickball in the yard, Sophia's rabbit dropping from limp fingers. Wren arrived mid-inspection, her face ashen. "This is harassment," she hissed, but the damage was sown. Doubt in official eyes, the threat of separation hovering like storm clouds. That night, with kids tucked in, Daisy and Wren faced the abyss on their balcony. The city lights a blurred constellation. "We fight this," Wren said, fierce. "Together." Daisy nodded, but fear gnawed. The system that rejected her once might devour them now. What if it's not enough? Wren pulled her close, heartbeat to heartbeat. "Then we burn it down and build anew. For them. For us." As thunder rumbled distant, they clung. The precipice both terror and tether. The climax loomed, not in villainy, but in the quiet war for their woven world. A battle of wills where love's true measure was endurance. Autumn winds stripped the almond trees bare, scattering petals like confetti from a forsaken parade. As the storm broke over their Malaga haven, Daisy Harper, her green eyes shadowed by sleepless nights, stood in the sterile glow of the social services office, her freckled hands clasped white-knuckled around a folder of testimonials, letters from neighbors, teachers, the therapist who'd witnessed their grit. At 32, she felt ancient, the auburn in her hair a banner of battles fought. Wren Morales, 35, paced beside her, her wavy black locks disheveled, hazel eyes blazing with a mother's unyielding fire. The betrayal orchestrated by Carla had metastasized, fabricated reports of emotional volatility, whispers of Daisy's unresolved trauma, from Ohio, enough to trigger a full review. The kids, Luca, Sophia, Matteo, Elena, waited at home with a trusted sitter, their world teetering on bureaucratic threads. The hearing room smelled of stale coffee and despair, a long oak table separating them from the panel. Stern-faced officials in starched collars, Carla's influence a ghost in the room's undercurrent. "Ms. Harper, Ms. Morales," the chairwoman intoned, a woman with steel-gray hair and a voice like gravel. "Concerns have been raised about the stability of this placement. Multiple sources cite relational strain." Wren leaned forward, her olive skin flushing. "Those sources are lies, engineered by a disgruntled colleague. We've got records, therapy logs, school reports, financials. We're not perfect, but we're theirs." She slid the folder across, her voice cracking only once on theirs. Daisy spoke next, her American twang steady despite the quake in her chest. "I was rejected once for who I love. It stripped me bare. But these kids, they rebuilt me. Luca's goals, Sophia's stars, Matteo's words, Elena's light, they're my redemption. Take that away, and you orphan us all." The panel murmured, pens scratching. Carla's shadow loomed in an adjacent hall, her gunmetal gaze averted when Daisy caught it, betrayal's architect, cloaked in professional veneer. Hours dragged. Recess brought Wren's hand to Daisy's under the table, a lifeline. "We won't lose them," Wren whispered, but doubt etched her face, the ghost of her own wavering heart. Verdict came at dusk. Probationary status, 6 months of intensified oversight. No separation yet. Relief warred with rage as they emerged into the cooling air, the Mediterranean a slate-gray expanse. It's a stay of execution, Daisy muttered, hailing a cab. Wren nodded, silent, the weight pressing. Home was a siege of normalcy. Luca's forced grin over paella. Sophia's questions deflected with hugs. But the oversight invaded, pop-in visits, journals of moods. A counselor grilling the kids on happiness levels. Daisy burned with injustice, her classes on Auden's September 1, 1939 resonating. We must love one another or die. Wren channeled fury into action, rallying her nonprofit allies, exposing Carla's machinations through backchannel leaks. The board ousted Carla in a swift purge, her empire crumbling under ethics probes, but victory tasted bitter. Trust in institutions fractured, like their once unshakable bond. The true climax crested not in courtrooms, but in the hearth of home. One November eve, as rain lashed windows like Ohio's judgment, Wren shattered. The kids asleep, she collapsed at the kitchen table, sobbing into her hands. I almost cost us everything, she gasped, the words a flood. Carla preyed on my weakness, that old itch for approval, for being enough. I let it in, Daisy. After the fundraiser I met her for coffee. Not Javier but her. To vent, I said. But it was escape again, from the pressure, from being the strong one. Daisy's breath hitched, the cut from Marbella reopening. Betrayal anew. Not infidelity but emotional adultery. Wren's heart straying to shadows of validation. You promised, she whispered, voice raw. No more half measures. I know. Wren's hazel eyes, red-rimmed, pleaded. It was one meeting, a moment of cowardice. But it fed the reports. Carla twisted my doubts into ammunition. I'm poison, Daisy. The kids deserve better. The air thickened, thunder rumbling a chord. Daisy paced, ghosts converging. Her father's door slam, Wren's gala absence, the panel's cold scrutiny. Better? Like what? Sending them back to the system that chews them up. Or chasing your enough while we burn. Fury crested, a wave crashing. Plates rattled as Daisy swept the table, remnants of dinner scattering like their illusions. I gave up everything, family roots, for this fragile us. And you? You're still running. Wren rose, reaching, but Daisy recoiled. Don't. Just go. Figure your poison out. The words were exile, self-inflicted. Wren fled to the balcony, rain soaking her through, sobs mingling with downpour. Dawn brought reckoning. Daisy, hollow-eyed, found Wren curled on the couch, kids stirring to the scent of burnt toast. Luca's voice cut the tension. Mama, Wren cried all night. Is it like before? Are you leaving? His storm-cloud eyes, so like Daisy's hidden tempests, pierced. Sophia clutched her rabbit, whispering, We need both stars. The children gathered, a tribunal of small faces. Mateo stuttered, Stay? A dagger, Elena's chubby hand in Daisy's. In that circle truth distilled. Betrayal wasn't Wren's alone, but theirs to alchemize. Daisy knelt, pulling Wren in. We're all poison sometimes. But antidotes exist, in forgiveness, in fighting side by side. Wren nodded, shattered but rising. I choose you. All of you. No more escapes. The humanistic arc bent toward healing, not erasure. Probation lifted after grueling months. Their home study glowing with endorsements. Resilient unit, profound commitment. Carla's downfall rippled, her foundation tainted. A cautionary tale in expat circles. Wren shuttered the U.S. expansion, refocusing on local roots, her ambition tethered to family board games and beach cleanups. Daisy penned a memoir, Exile's Harvest, Tales of Queer Motherhood in Sun-Baked Exile, its pages a bridge to her Ohio kin. A sister's reply, tentative. Proud of you, kid. Spring returned, verdant and forgiving. On a cliffside picnic, blankets spread under azure skies, the family sprawled. Luca captaining a kite battle, Sophia charting constellations in clouds, Mateo and Elena chasing crabs. Daisy and Wren sat apart, hands entwined, rings warmed by sun. We almost shattered, Wren said, voice soft. Daisy leaned in, kissing her temple. But we mended stronger. Like kintsugi, gold in the cracks. The ending wasn't fairy tale gloss. It was textured, human. Arguments over laundry, triumphs in small graces. Luca scored his first goal. dedicating it to my moms, the MVPs. Sophia's telescope revealed Jupiter's moons, a metaphor for hidden orbits. As evening gilded the sea, they walked home linked, a chain unbreakable. In the end, rejection birthed not ruin but reclamation. Daisy, once cast out, had woven a tapestry of chosen kin. Her heart a fertile field where love, defiant and deep, bloomed eternal. And in Spain's embrace, far from cornfields, close to the soul's wild sea, they lived not perfectly but wholly.